Welcome back, everybody, to the Dusty Bender podcast. I am one of your hosts, Chance Watson, with you as always, Taylor Wells. Episode 120 coming at you folks today. And Taylor, there's actually quite a little bit to talk about today.
Buck 20. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, man. We got freaking hockey coming back. Look at this
We
shit.
do. We
Oh my
do.
god.
I do appreciate this time of year when everybody starts reading way too into preseason games.
Hell yeah.
I loved the overreaction of Vancouver fans. They just got beat 10-rip by Calgary, and they're like, well, fucking season's done.
Yeah, season's over. A bunch of fucking AHL, ECHL backups got dusted, so we're done.
Yeah, it's pretty much over for them. But, I mean, in all honesty, we kind of knew that Vancouver season was already over. So
Yeah, they're yeah, it's tough. I don't think they'll go into full rebuild, but good God, man.
Yeah, that is definitely a tire fire for sure over there. Folks, we are sponsored by a few people, so we're going to explain a little bit about that right now. First off, as you saw in our intro, as always, the Hockey Podcast Network, folks. Jump on over to the hockeypodcastnetwork.com. Check out all the shows. I believe there are over 100 shows now in the Hockey Podcast Network that are sponsored. So I would definitely go over there and check it out. There is a show for almost every team, I think. I could be wrong on that. But also we've got some great talent, even some celebrities. The fellow that plays Ted Hitchcock in Shoresy has a show that is part of the Hockey Podcast Network. So we are rubbing shoulders and being a part of a great organization that has a ton of talent in it. So whatever you're listening to, whether you want to listen to specific teams or just hockey talk in general, hop on over to the hockeypodcastnetwork.com and check that out. Folks, also, we are sponsored by arguably our favorite sponsor of the show, the Hub Tavern in Spokane, Washington. The Hub off of Monroe has been a staple of the Spokane area for, I think, over 100 years now, or maybe just shy of 100 years. It's been a while, folks. It's been there for quite a while. It has been there serving the community and is a huge part of the hockey community's part of the Anchor Alliance, one of the many, many bars. Well, actually, select few. They actually have some standards on there. Hockey bars that are on and sponsored by the Seattle Kraken. So if you pop on in there, they will always have the Kraken game on and are huge supporters of the Seattle Kraken. So stop in to the Hub Tavern on Monroe in Spokane. It is your home away from home. Say hi to Dave. Tell him you came in because of the Dusty Bender podcast. And he might be nice to you. He might say like, "Oh, I like those boys. Those guys are not terrible."
I mean, they do so much for the community over at the Hub. So do something for the Hub and go drink beers.
Supporting youth hockey and just supporting the community in general. Like they not only they in Spokane, they support Spokane. They love being part of the community. So absolutely support them if you're in the area, even if you're just passing through. If you're passing through Spokane, stop in and have one beer. It's cash only bar, so you know the beer is going to be cheap and delicious. So stop in, have a good time. All right. Also, final sponsor of the show, Fire Chief John Miller. Folks, Fire Chief John Miller has been a longtime listener, longtime supporter of the show. We could not appreciate his support enough. Even if he is a Nashville Predators fan, we definitely we definitely appreciate his support. And every week, every time we try to talk to him, we try to say some fire safety stuff. So as we come up on the fall season and the colder stuff, okay. John might be a little more politically correct about this and say something about you should use space heaters safely. But you know what? I was writing a lot about those stories when he was going and putting out the fires. And I got to tell you, just don't use space heaters.
Yeah, in general.
You are really asking to get burned alive.
Oh, they're going to jack up your fucking electricity bill too,
yeah,
man. It's just a lot of negatives.
It's just, look, the money that you were going to spend on your electricity bill and your space heater, just go get an extra sweatshirt. You know what? Maybe get a sweatshirt with the Dusty Bender logo on it. Reach out to us through any social media platform that we're on and let us know. And we can hook you up with a sweatshirt. We can do that. It's warmer and cheaper than a space heater and less chance of you dying in a fire.
Dusty Bender onesie coming to you soon.
That's you know what? We have a lot of unofficial slogans on the show, but the Dusty Bender podcast, less likely to kill you than a space heater.
Fuck yeah, it is.
The
That sounds right. That just took over as the top.
odds are definitely in our favor when it comes to things that will kill you.
Sure.
Space heater definitely much higher on that list.
I wonder if we have any Dusty Bender podcast deaths, at this point, right? I think we're probably 0 to 1, where space heaters are.
The only way is somebody was laughing so hard listening to it in the car and they crashed. But
oof, yeah, been there, man. Been there. That was a weird day.
It was a wacky day, really.
What a wacky do.
No, I could definitely. So John Miller would probably say, folks, use space heaters responsibly. Don't put blankets next to them. Don't put them next to your bed, and plug them into an outlet that's not overwhelmed with a bunch of other plugins. So that's probably the safe way. The Dusty Bender podcast takes the anti-space heater stance.
Sure. Yep. Gotta stand up.
Absolutely. You stand for nothing. Fall for everything. That's right. All right, folks. That's through our sponsors. Please support all of them in any way that you can. We appreciate their support of the show. It's how we jump on every week, soon to be every week, and give you guys some laughs and some hockey news.
Oh, yeah.
All right, folks. Last we left you, our old buddy Mike Babcock was in some hot water.
Oh yeah, he was feeling it. He was boiling. He was.
Well, I don't know. The rest of the world thought he did. Do you think Babcock actually thought he did anything wrong?
No. I'm sure he just got done from his bear hunting trip, and he definitely thought he was going to come back and just coach a team in the NHL.
I was just trying to look at the boys' hunting trip photos. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah. No.
A lot of grit.
Poor guy.
A lot of grit. A lot of heart.
Poor guy's not going to get. He definitely thinks he's going to get some sort of job in the NHL.
Oh, God.
He seems like that kind of dude.
It's done now. So when we left you guys, we were kind of like the word had just gotten out. We kind of speculated on it, but it wasn't really, for in stone one way or the other. For those who are unfamiliar, Mike Babcock is officially a pile of shit. Was caught looking through players' phones. He was looking through all of them. Some of the older guys, he was a little more, like Boone Jenner had no reason to think anything wrong because he just showed him a bunch of family photos and whatnot. But with the younger guys, he was legitimately going through their phones without their permission, basically. Kind of a power move. I think the story that stands out the rest is he invited a younger player to lunch. Just like I come out to lunch, I want to get to know you. As soon as this younger player shows up, Babcock asks for the phone. He's gone for 15 minutes with the phone. Comes back, hands him the phone, and says, "Get the fuck out." That's it definitely unprofessional, borderline, definitely creepy, borderline illegal. Like,
oh yeah, 100%.
It's how can your mind, even if you have the most innocent brain on the planet, how can you not go immediately to this dude is going through every message that I have and looking for nudies.
Dude, what?
Like, that's exactly what that fucking dude is doing.
Why? What? Like, I want to know. I mean, we've seen the fake Babcock interview, but I actually want to know what the fuck was he thinking, dude?
Oh, and he'll never. He doesn't think he does anything right. Well, okay. How it's been explained, and I even listened to the follow-up Spit and Chicklets episode, which there's a lot of people in the hockey media that owe Biz an apology. I'm not saying that he's the end-all, be-all for hockey journalists. He's not. But in this, he got it right, and he is definitely an advocate for the players, which I think I mentioned this before on a tweet that, there's a lot of journalists that would probably would have sat on this. It's not necessarily to the level of, the Kyle Beach situation, and they might have kind of thrown this under the rug or chosen not to report on it because they didn't want to lose a source. Biz doesn't give a fuck about that, for better or for worse. He has no tact.
Well, and I think there's a lot of there's a lot of those news outlets and stuff that it didn't, you know, at the surface didn't seem like something that was going to just blow up like it did, right?
They were just going to write it off.
They're going to write it off. So they're basically going to, you know, they would turn that on the player that brought that to them at some point, right? Like
Yes.
I don't want to think negatively of a lot of people like that, but that's just the news and the media these days, right? Like what is actually going to sell, right? Saying this guy took my phone and looked at some you know, my dick pics or you know,
whatever.
It's crazy. Or being good standing with the Columbus Blue Jackets and Mike Babcock. Like they're going to take the low road, right? So yeah, I think so. I mean, I kind of took the stance on it originally in the last podcast of like, look, we don't know the full story, right?
Sure.
We got to get the whole story out. You know, this guy said that he was doing better, but words are fucking weightless, man. You know,
right.
Like the actions were clearly there. So I don't think I need to give Biz any sort of a sorry, bro. But I think, you know, in general, you know, the more news came out, right? The truth officially rolled out, and we saw it unravel. So
it shows it shows that Biz was in the right, and I think that Biz 100%. Did. I think what should be. It's not. We don't need to say sorry necessarily. It's just that like a lot in the established media, the really uppity people like the Wyshynskis of the world, anytime Biz says something that would remotely paint him as breaking a news story, it's immediately met with criticism because he doesn't play by the rules. Like he doesn't play by the standard rules of journalism where he went to, you know, 6 years of jam school and then, you know, sucked dick to get to the top of, you know, ESPN or whatever, so they can write about it and then not, you know, we can sit here and debate about the, you know, the old logo or something like that, but they won't actually break this kind of thing. And I think they were probably even pissed off that they didn't.
Yeah.
There might be a jealousy thing where, you know, he's an insider, even though he hasn't necessarily earned it in their eyes.
Yeah. No, I get that. But yeah, anyways, good riddance to Babcock. There's no fucking way another team gives him a shot.
Not one.
There's just no way. I mean,
his term in the NHL's done.
It's crazy. I mean, I feel like Columbus was giving him a fucking handout saying, you know, second chance, man, you know, like, you know, be better. And he just fucking blew it. Like, it's crazy.
Yep. It's crazy, I can't believe that he would go right. But it's because he thought he was bulletproof. Like you hear more stories now that he's done and everybody like knows that he's done. More stories are coming out about Babcock. Even they brought Chelios onto the show, and he held a lot of punches. But at the end of the day, like the guy is a fucking just. I don't want to say evil because that's really strong, but like the guy who just literally goes around and just makes power plays like that all the time for no reason, you know, like making himself to be this like end all be all. I've got the power. You don't, you're weak. I'm in charge. Your world is in my hands kind of thing. That's just so fucked up.
Like we were talking about before, he's a boss, not a leader, right? Like I think that's the approach. And just like a this is pedophile shit. Like this is
right. Like,
good.
Like if we're like, I know it's because there's no evidence necessarily that he was looking for nudies, but like,
sure, it's
hard to sit here and go like, well, what the fuck was he going through this kid's phone for 15 minutes? Like,
exactly. What's he looking for?
What else is he going to be looking for? Is he really enthralled with like the conversations he's like this 20-year-old is having with his friends and whatnot? Is he genuinely scrolling through his camera? No, if anything, like, I understand maybe this is a pessimistic way of looking at it, but having a kid's phone for 15 minutes, he's sending himself pics from that phone.
Yeah, what the fuck, man? It's so bizarre to me. Like best case scenario, what he was doing was making sure this kid wasn't. We've seen issues with guys just staying up all night playing video games, right? We've seen issues with guys going out fucking drinking and murdering prostitutes and shit, right? So like maybe his intentions were kind of there, but like that's best case scenario, dude. So what the fuck are we doing?
So best case scenario, he's just an insane manipulator who is taking advantage of people and making a huge power play.
Sure.
You know, you lording this supposed power over these players because he can get away with whatever he wants because at the end of the day, he's in charge of their future.
That's so bizarre.
That's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, he's a pervert.
Right.
there's just there,
I'm not gonna try to put that tag on him, but it just I don't know what else.
right. Well, I mean,
I don't know, man.
why else
Fucking
do that?
bizarre.
Like, why else take somebody? It's again like, are
Dick
you
swinging.
scrolling through every single text message that he has, and actually, even if you're doing 100% what you think you're saying you're doing, it's still that's still not okay.
He
Even if we
still
believe him, and he's like, yeah, I took their phones to make sure that they are upstanding citizens and good players, and they've got a lot of heart and a lot of grit, and they're going to be good people. Like, who the fuck does that?
kid was 2 minutes late to a team meeting or something, and so he's got to fucking power play his ass.
It's just, it's so fucking bizarre. We don't need to talk about it anymore. The Columbus Blue Jackets, we're credited. I mean, they fucked up in the first place by hiring the guy, but this is the NHL, where nothing gets done quickly. Everybody's given second, third, fourth, fifth chances. The Columbus Blue Jackets actually kind of, they fucked up by putting out an initial press release because they got Babcock's word and basically repeated what Babcock said. They even talked to Boone. That might be an awkward situation in the locker room. Like, how can you look?
I don't think it should be.
It shouldn't be if Boone didn't know about these things.
Right.
But
if he did, then
yeah,
he's got problems. But I'm not part of the crowd that says, quit hiring these same guys. It's the old boys club, right? Like sometimes it is appropriate. This should be an example of not hiring.
It was
bringing people in that are fucking problem.
Not that Chicklets listens to our show, but they literally almost took a line from us in the last episode where they were saying, like, you don't see Coop doing this,
right?
Like, you don't hear Brendan Moore doing this. You don't hear the fella in New York that just got fired.
Oh,
Gallant.
Come back to me.
Gallant. Yeah, Gallant. You don't hear this stuff,
right?
With these guys. And usually when there's smoke, there's fire. So that's all I got to say on it. Good riddance, Mike Babcock. Glad he's not coming back in the league. And if you're listening to this show, I have mint condition Mike Babcock and Bill Peters Spokane Chiefs trading cards that I would love to sell you because they are at the highest value right now.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what every young boy or girl in America wants in their
collection. Do you want the card of the NHL coach, the only coach in the history of the NHL that has been hired and fired before he even served on the bench behind one game? I've got one for you. And it's essentially his rookie card.
That sucks.
Like, if you can have a rookie card for a coach, this is basically it, because this was when he was the coach of the Spokane Chiefs.
That's so funny. And Bill Peters.
Yeah, just to throw that in too.
I'm gonna have to go back through my cards, dude. I don't think I have any coach cards. Those can't be super popular.
Shit, man. I mean, Babcock cards were already popular, and now he's the only disgraced coach in the league. Gotta love it.
Yeah, it's got to be going for at least $10 at this point.
At least $10. I could use that to buy a round of beers.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's jump into some more drama going on, but in the actual NHL world right now. Going around the hockey wire right now and creating some rumors. There's two very important individuals on the Anaheim Ducks right now that still don't have contracts.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Taylor, what's your read on this?
This happens all the time. So
first, who are these guys?
Trevor Zegras, he's probably the most hated player that no one should be hating. It's just dumb as fuck.
That's right, because he's not even good at hockey. So
no, he's terrible at hockey, and people have no fucking idea what they're talking about. And then Jamie Drysdale. So it's pretty much their guys that have been with them for the fucking Dallas Eakins years, right?
Sure.
So I think it's interesting. I mean, this is just getting a lot of. Honestly, any press is good press, right? I mean, the Ducks aren't a huge market, so this is it's weird because I think it's kind of good for them to be at the forefront, but they're basically in contract negotiations with both Zegras and Drysdale. There's some numbers that have come out. I think at this point we've kind of decided that they are the numbers that were passed down by the GM to Trevor Zegras. and it's honestly laughable. Like, it's a laughable number for him. I don't
3-4
think.
mil.
Yeah, it's 3 to 4 mil, which is just on a bridge deal, which that's fine. I get it. It's a bridge deal. I totally get that. The only reason that the GM is doing the bridge deal and a super low offer is because Drysdale is more understandable. With Zegras, there is a lot of his game that still needs to be rounded out, right? I mean, you look at some of the top talent in the league, having at least a little bit of a defensive, ability is definitely helpful to win some cups and shit. But
Right.
that's just the rumor mill is just absolutely spiraling. There's this whole like, Verbeek doesn't think that Zegras is part of his plan. It's like, I'm so sorry, dude. Like, if you have a player of that potential caliber, he's part of your plan, right?
Right.
Like Verbeek didn't come into the Samuelis, the owners, and be like, yeah, so I think what I'm gonna do. Here's the thing, right?
Right.
I'm going to just kick Trevor Zegras and Jamie Drysdale off my fucking team for peanuts because they're not part of my plan. No fucking way, right? Like, that's the dumbest thing. So
No, it's all part of the plan.
it's all part of the plan.
Yep.
So I don't buy that bullshit. I don't buy the bullshit that he's going to get traded to Buffalo with Jamie Drysdale. I saw even Chicklets jumped on the Darlene for Zegras and Drysdale.
Drysdale has removed the Ducks from his Twitter bio, so
Ooh,
it's got to be
it's
serious.
gotta mean something. Yeah.
Yep.
So social media is our lives now.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, so they'll get some deals done. I think they'll meet in the middle, right? I have a feeling Zegras and his camp are probably looking at Jack Hughes. They're looking at Cole Caulfield. They're looking in the 7 to 8. I don't think that's where he's at, especially for a bridge deal. I think he's probably I put him at a 5.5. I'm totally okay with that.
Sure.
I think that's what the player is worth. Gives him 3 years to prove it with a new coach, not Dallas Eakins, who was literally the worst fucking coach. Had zero systems, show me an offensive player who would have thrived in Dallas Eakins' system. You cannot do it, right? Because for one, he really only coached the Oilers and the Ducks. But I think in general, right, that's just, yeah. And so a prove it deal is totally fine for this guy. I think if it was me, I'd lock him up. I'd Clayton Keller his ass. He's on a bad team with a bad coach. I'd put the Clayton Keller deal into perspective, right? I think Keller got 7 at 7 or something like that, right? I think that's totally fine for the long term. But I see what Verbeek's doing. Offering him 3 to 4 is just basically throwing a bag of flaming shit into this guy's face, and it's
fair.
I don't know what kind of business that is, dude. So yeah, interesting stuff going on. But I think it'll get worked out.
Okay. I've heard rumors that Verbeek is a bit of a hardball on this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe shooting really low. He's, maybe he is hoping that it's going to be 5 or 6.
And that's fine. I think that's perfect. Why not?
And I think Zegras would be okay with that. It's a short-term deal,
right?
But Verbeek is probably wanting a long, probably he's probably thinking a 5x5. At the end of the day of what he wants.
Yeah, I mean,
and Zegras will probably be okay with a 5x2.
Yeah, I don't know. I can tell you because of how close he is with Caulfield and the Hughes. I mean, Jack Hughes is like his best buddy. I mean, he was in fucking the East Coast all summer with Jack Hughes and his fucking family. Like,
right.
I think he went to like a baseball. He went to some big ass game with Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes wasn't even there. It was like Hughes' dad.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So it'll get worked out.
Has he been adopted? Is he just Trevor Hughes now?
I mean, that's the word on the street. That's what I'm hearing. So
okay. What happened to his family?
Freak boating accident, I think.
Shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
I hate when that happens.
It happens. So yeah, it'll get worked out. I think.
You ever see Sharknado?
Yeah, it's definitely a Sharknado.
It was a classic Sharknado situation.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, last point on that. So I think Drysdale is definitely a bridge deal guy, right? He's been bad team. Had 35 points, I think, in his full season, and then missed pretty much all of last year, right? So like, see what he can do in 3 years under a new system. He's got a little bit better supporting cast back with him. Right, I think as much as people in Toronto hate Gudis, I mean that's a much better decision than Simon Benoit. So I mean, I just they're making the right moves. So I can see Jamie Drysdale being probably 3x3. I think that's totally acceptable for him based on the amount of puck that he's played. But yeah, it's crazy.
He's probably one. He's probably 1-5.
Yeah, and he's not going to get it. You can't. I mean, you can say he's going to be this as much as you want. You got to see a little bit of something. Trevor Zegras has the last 2 seasons is 60+ points on absolutely horrendous fucking Ducks teams. Like,
right.
Throw whatever you think about him out the window on his fucking Twitter account. That's totally fine, right?
Yeah.
You're an idiot for doing that, but whatever, do it.
Mm-hmm.
The kid can fucking ball. So I mean, it's just he'll get paid and they'll get it worked out. Hopefully sooner rather than later. If not, they're gonna have another high draft pick either way, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Got to rebuild.
Yep.
Once you lost Teemu Solani, it was just all downhill. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say Koivu, but that might be a little
also accurate. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Taylor, we're now into the preseason, and this is around the time where hockey players and hockey fans are very happy that hockey's back, yet also it's the equivalent of being edged because this is not real hockey. Like, we're seeing hockey. And it's exciting. We all enjoy hockey, but it's also not satisfying.
I mean, preseason's not for us. Preseason's for the players and for the coaches and teams, right? So
that being said, we kicked off the preseason with arguably the preseason goal of the year with your boy Cooley.
Yeah, Logan Cooley's a fucking stud, man.
Did you see this goal that happened in Australia?
Yeah, he's looking like fucking Taylor Wells out there, man.
God damn, I know, right?
Yeah, he's looking like a fucking champ.
He was looking at some of your tape.
Yeah, he was. I made him a tape and sent it to
You did? It's like a mixtape of your highlights.
Yeah, 100%. Fucking sick goal, man. And the other one. So I mean, we're just as hockey fans. I mean, sports in general. Like this is happening on a lot of different levels. But the young kids are just coming in and fucking dusting, right? And I think.
Yep.
That's just not what we're used to in old time hockey shit. So yeah, Cooley is not a name to forget. I think there was a lot of chatter about Cooley staying in college and he didn't want to be on the Coyotes and stuff. And I think he's there, man. They have their number one center. They passed on Shane Wright for him, right? Like we got to remember that kind of stuff. So yeah, the kid is unreal. Just fucking. Danced around him hit the fucking
it is all preseason.
It's preseason. I mean, not saying that he was going up against. I mean, I think the D was like a fucking AHL guy. So
okay. I
mean, nothing crazy, but the kid's coming from college, right? So these guys have been playing pro for a couple years, or so. But yeah, he walked it. He picked it up in the neutral zone and was just like, yeah, I'm gonna score. Like I'm gonna go get this goal.
Right.
So, yeah, there's no excuse for him not making that team. It's unreal.
You think that's a goal? This is a goal.
Yeah, I'll show you a goal.
Was that a solid Australian accent?
No, but I A for effort.
I've seen Crocodile Dundee a couple times, so.
His kid fucking has like a pretty sweet little Instagram where he talks with birds and shit.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, he's taking over the family business and stuff. Yeah,
between Crocodile Dundee and then
Steve Irwin.
I was gonna say I knew you were talking about Steve Irwin, but yeah, Steve Irwin. Steve Irwin's kids are awesome. Yeah, and I do like it's all window dressing and it doesn't really actually mean anything, but I do like that they're getting kind of cool with these preseason games. Having one in Australia is fun. Like the NHL will never go to Australia, but it's cool.
Well, and I think those are the two teams because it was the Yotes in LA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are two teams. So like Sean Walker, I think was an Australian kid, and then Coyotes drafted a couple too. So I think just grow the game, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We are the Dusty Bender podcast is pro grow the game.
Pro grow.
Absolutely. So pro grow in every sense. Absolutely. So yeah, good stuff. So preseason, we're not going to break down preseason shit because none of it matters, and none of it has any meaning on the actual NHL season. But there is a topic that we wanted to talk about before we get into our Central Division preview. Actual rostered NHL players playing in preseason games. First off, should they be there?
Yeah.
Second off, if they should be there, how do you justify? So all of this kicked up because Mark Stone recently just got his head taken off by some guy who will never see the NHL.
Whoa! Let's back up.
Okay,
he did not get his head taken off. He got crushed.
It was a good hit.
Like it's regular season. He got smoked like he had the puck. Like
yeah, it's a good hit. You know? It's a good hit.
Yeah. To answer your question, I think you sprinkle them in, and maybe that's what it was, right? You sprinkle the vets in. As for the Knights, there's absolutely no reason that Mark Stone needs to be playing in.
Not even a little bit.
No, I mean, shit. The guy is so fucking injury prone.
He's gonna miss half the season anyway.
Right.
Like why would you expose him to this kind of shit?
Rest him. Let him play one or two of the last 5 preseason games, right? Like that's where he needs to be.
Coach is dumb, and when it comes to preseason games, like I look at the if you're going to not play the full roster, like if you're going to use preseason games to get AHL guys NHL time, so to speak,
sure.
There is no way you're never going to get them to like. It's not like that kid, whoever hit Mark Stone, I don't even know his name.
Hodgson.
Like, okay, to him, that is his one chance to make the NHL. Like he's got to play well in that game and make a statement.
Right.
So he's not going to be like, oh, that's Mark Stone. I probably shouldn't hit him. If anything, he's going to be like, I'm going to be the guy that fucking hits Mark Stone, and people are going to actually talk about me.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Right. So it goes back to that idea of like, do you because right now we kind of do this weird blend. Like, you know, the first line and maybe even part of the second line is starting night roster guys for the season, and then the rest is like AHL or something. You know, it's this hodgepodge of fucking mixed up shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that to a degree. Like you want to field a good roster, you want to get the veterans, you know, their legs under them before opening night, but at the same time, you also want to get some of the young guys in and give them a look to see if you want to make any last minute tweaks to your roster. I get all of that. But so I'm sitting here going like, is Mark Stone absolutely right when he says, I will probably never play against that guy again?
Yeah.
That's a wicked burn, and he's 100% right.
Yeah, it's a great chirp, dude. Why
absolutely.
not?
100%. And it's totally justified. That being said, because notice, he wasn't like, no, that wasn't that big of a hit or anything like that. Like, he owned it. He's like, yeah, I got hit. I got smoked. But it doesn't matter because I'm never going to see him again. And you're like, oh, fuck. Okay.
I mean, his reaction was, that was cheap, right? I mean, like, that's
sure.
the way him and the Knights reacted, which it wasn't fucking cheap.
No.
Right? It was just a good hit by a kid who's trying to make the roster.
Right. And is that kid going to make the roster? Absolutely not. But
no, probably not.
Probably not.
Here's my thing. If the tables are turned, right? Mark Stone, it's his first season in the NHL. Mm-hmm. He's trying to make the roster. He sees that available
hit,
right? He sees that. Is he not like you're gonna tell me Mark Stone is gonna let up if Hodgson's been in the NHL and just won a cup? You think he's gonna let up? Fuck no, dude. Don't be a dickweed.
Fuck no.
Don't be a fucking bandwagon fan like a lot of the Twitter.
Yeah.
You know, don't be that fan because if the tables are turned, the exact same fucking thing is going to happen. Right?
So
it's just ridiculous to think.
I'm going to take the outcast stance on this one, where like, look, if you're a star in the NHL, like, you know that you're walking onto the NHL roster, you're going to play opening night, you know you're there. You can't go into and you're going to be on a preseason roster. You can't go into it like just thinking it's some fucking drop-in game up in Rochester.
Yeah.
Like, you still have to keep your head up. Like, there's a reason why, like, yeah, does the game not matter? Absolutely not. But you have to know that there's guys on the other side of that ice that are trying everything they can to get noticed.
Right.
And if you put your head down for a second, they're going to go through you.
What are you acting like you're untouchable for?
Right. Exactly.
What the fuck is that, dude?
Exactly.
Come on.
And if you're gonna have that mentality, don't play in preseason games.
Yeah, tell your coach you're not playing. Like I right. just yeah. And I look, I get it. I get being irrational for your team sometimes. I totally get that. Like we can get there too, you know. But
was it a bit of a late hit? Kind of. No, I mean,
no, it wasn't. The puck was 6 inches from Stone's fucking stick. Get out of here. That's not late at all, man.
Okay, fair enough.
I can't side with that.
And I don't. At the end of the day, I was trying to play devil's advocate. I was like, is the puck, in his control? What is control? What is life really?
Where are we? It's a simulation.
Are we in the Matrix or what is life?
Yeah. You ever seen your fucking neighbors get groceries? I haven't.
I've never seen them get groceries.
Yeah, and I only see fucking pigeons, man. Like there's just
so many pigeons.
So many pigeons. It's crazy.
So many. It's got to be the 5G.
Yeah, that's definitely 5G.
Mm-hmm.
One of these days I'm gonna get so wasted. I'm gonna try to take a pigeon's eye out and see if there's a camera in there or something.
It's definitely camera in there, 100%. Yeah, I don't doubt that for a second. So, to conclude that, preseason's pretty much a waste of time. It should only be 2 or 3. Should only be 2 or 3 games. If you're gonna be a start opening night guy that's playing on the roster, don't half-ass it because you could get run over. It seems like we deal with this like every year. Like there's always preseason and some no-name just takes a run at a guy with a name, and we're having the same conversation every fucking preseason.
Yeah. Who was the kid? Wasn't it like it was like Watson or fucking Wilson did it last year or 2 years ago? Right, like Wilson lit some dude.
Yeah, that's right.
So like this happens all the time, but acting like you're untouchable, get the fuck out of here. I do like the chirp. I think the chirp is great. That's still fine. I have no problem.
And it's accurate. So
it's accurate, but I mean, just own it and
right.
Yeah, the funniest part. This is the last thing I'll say on it. The funniest part was Brant Clark somehow in the scrum got matched up against Mark Stone, who is a grown fucking man. Brant Clark looks like he is 10 years old and just came out of Pee-wee's. And Brant Clark's face is just like, dude, I didn't do anything. I didn't see anything. Like, just please. Like,
I don't even know this guy.
I don't like him anyways.
Right.
Know? Like, it was so funny. That poor kid was just like, yeah, welcome to the fucking show, dude.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Brant Clark didn't even do it. It's just crazy.
Yep. All right. Anything else we care about for preseason?
No.
Can't wait till it's over.
Apparently, Slavkovsky is going to run away with the fucking MVP. But that's the other one.
Preseason success always translates to season success. So
we see good players have success in preseason and then come out and don't score a goal for 20 games.
Yeah, Yamo's sitting on 2. What are you talking about? He's starting lineup now.
Dude, Yammer by the end of the season is going to be playing fucking top 6 minutes.
Power play, first power play,
100%.
Over the boards, all high danger situations.
He's got a fucking chip on his shoulder from basically being chastised or whatever that fucking word is.
Chastised
out of fucking Edmonton, dude. He's got a chip, so
we're talking shit, but honestly, he does look pretty good.
Yeah, he looked good.
He does look pretty good. Okay, are we? Last thing we want to bring up. Folks, I don't know if you know this, but Patrick Kane still hasn't signed a contract with anybody.
Yeah.
And to convince you of this, that Patrick Kane does deserve such a contract, his agency recently put out a video. Please notice that this man, all these exercises are designed to show off his hip movements because he just got hip surgery. Something like hip resurfacing surgery.
I love the fucking production value of this thing, man. I mean, this is top.
Oh yeah, the beat is just.
We should reach out and see who his beat guy is.
It's just something. It's just like a royalty free beat.
I like to write that.
Right.
I like to think that it was it's actually him. Just snipes a fucking.
Dude, I'm loving this. Like if I was an NHL GM, I'm like, oh man, Kaner's got it.
Dude, you know what? Like, just cracks me up because we when we were up in Alaska, we would get these and so like we had this one where it was a goalie from the lower 48 and basically was like, I'm moving up and here's my fucking CD-ROM of fucking of my saves, you know.
No.
And so yeah, we after a dry land one time we sat down and fucking watched it and it was awesome, dude. Like
It was awesome.
sick. It was like 5 minutes long and he doubled up on a couple of his saves just to make sure we saw it, you know. Didn't make the team, but you know, it was
poor
a
guy.
good effort, right? I mean, that's all you can ask.
Hey, got to shoot your shot, you know.
That's right.
It's what I'm told constantly.
That's right.
All right, folks. I think that's it. Oh, do you think that that's going to help Patrick Kane get anywhere?
Yeah, 100%, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. If you can, like you said, all his drills are showing his fucking hip, man.
I'm convinced.
I am too.
I'm absolutely convinced that there's nothing wrong with that man whatsoever.
I'll put him on my fucking beer league team.
I definitely don't think that any of that was edited. I don't think any of that was just showing his only good shifts and good exercises. Not the part where, you know, his hip gave out and he had to sit down for a little bit. I don't think any of that.
I would have loved to see him stretching it out a little bit more, you know, just sitting halfway naked, just, you know, getting it stretched out. You know? But that's my kinky side, you know. So.
He needs so to like kind of get people all fired up, like his best friend DeBrincat, like helping him stretch those hammies, just like reaching out, just helping him, you know.
It doesn't pop, you know.
And everybody's like, is that fucking Alex DeBrincat helping him stretch?
It's an Alex DeBrincat body double.
Iserman willing it into existence.
Yeah, dude.
I like that. All right, folks. The moment you've all been waiting for here at the halfway point. But first, Taylor, we got one more sponsor, don't we?
We sure do.
Well, tell me a little more about this sponsor.
The Dusty Bender podcast is sponsored today by DraftKings Sportsbook. And we're back with another week of football, and DraftKings Sportsbook is keeping us in on the NFL action with great offers every single game day. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly bonus bets. Throw $5 down on any of this week's epic matchups to walk away an instant winner. And DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this September. Football is more fun when you're in on the action. So download the app now and sign up with the code THPN, as in the Hockey Podcast Network. New customers can bet just $5 and get $2,200. Don't
2,000? What a deal!
Don't quote me on that. Instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, with code THPN, as in the Hockey Podcast Network. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? ? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles, LA. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply.
Okay. Glad I learned all of that.
That's right.
Yep, that's good. So if you're looking to put some money down here, coming up on the season soon.
Oh,
now's the time.
I need that. I need that in my veins.
I am partial to always betting the over in the first 10 games of the season.
Yeah, you are. And whenever I bet with you, I lose.
That's weird because I always win. It's because I give you my bets and then you're like, oh, I'm just gonna fade him.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
And then you're like, oh shit, Chance actually like spends a lot of time looking at this shit.
Yeah, that's the same reason that our Central Division looks way different.
That's very true. That's very true. We only have 2 the same ones. So, without further ado, let's jump into our Central Division, our final division preview and prediction of the offseason, kind of transitioning us into back. So, we'll be off next week, and then we'll be back every other week the following week. Taylor, we both have the Blackhawks at number 8. I will pretend to be a rabid Blackhawks fan.
You sure are.
Okay, all right. Scene. Here it is. Okay. I just lost everybody on my Stanley Cup team. Okay. I just went through a massive scandal. People think my logo is racist. And people hate me because I won 3 Stanley Cups in 5 years. Here we go.
Because they ain't you.
That's right. They hate us because they ain't us.
Yep, anuses.
That's right. That's right. So, the Chicago Blackhawks are number 8 because
Blank.
they're bad.
Yeah.
It's to expand upon that very deep thought. The Blackhawks are bad because they have no good players on their hockey team.
It's hard to win, yeah.
It is difficult to do that when you don't have anybody good on your team, and that's a bit of an embellishment because they do have 1 to 2 good players.
I don't put some fucking respect on TJ, man.
TJ is good.
He's there.
Bedard is great. All right, it's not the same category.
Yeah, I just this team has depth in the fact that every single one of their lines up front, besides the top line, is depth. I mean, it's essentially
they have depth in that every line below the first line is bad.
Is deep. deep on any other roster.
Yeah. So, to break it down for you folks, the Taylor Hall, Connor Bedard, Tyler Johnson line would be probably a second line, maybe even a third line on a good team.
Sure.
Like a Stanley Cup competitor. This is their first line. Kurashev, Reichel, and Athanasiou would be a third line, probably anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Donato, Gutman, and Radish is a fourth line. Foligno, Dickinson, and Corey Perry is a fourth line.
Yeah.
This team is designed to be bad. Yeah. I don't think that anybody other than Seth Jones on this team is a real person.
And Connor Bedard, yeah.
In the defense, sorry.
Defensive side, yeah.
Defensive side, Seth Jones is the only person that I know for a fact is a real person. Everybody else, I'm not totally convinced of.
Kevin Korchinski is kind of a stud.
Is he?
Yeah,
tell me a little bit about Kevin Korchinski. Give me some hope for the Blackhawks.
As a Blackhawks fan,
yes,
Kevin Korchinski was very good in the WHL. He's a very good defenseman.
Yep.
I mean, he's a rookie, so there's going to be some growing pains, but the kid plays a pretty nice two-way game. I mean, you can think. Probably not this year, just with the path that he took. I like the NCAA path for defensemen.
Okay.
So that's why. But Jake Sanderson, right? I mean, you can think Jake Sanderson. I mean, I think he's
okay. Yeah.
He's that much of a two-way D. So. But yeah, everyone else. I mean, Zaitsev, Tenorti, Connor Murphy, Wyatt Kaiser. I don't even know. Maybe a Blackhawks fan can explain to me who that is. But and then Seth Jones. So yeah, their D is pretty nasty. In a bad way.
In a bad way. And then to add insult to injury, when your starting goalie is Peter Mrazek,
yeesh.
It's not.
The proper response is just yeesh.
Yeesh is correct. Peter Mrazek is bad. Peter Mrazek is not a good goalie. He has basically served, I would say, 3/4 of his career as being that guy. You know, he is there to be like, fuck, we just lost our starting goalie to retirement or injury or insert actual logical reason to lose a goalie. Fuck, somebody has to play goalie. Should we get somebody out of the stands? No. I think Peter Mrazek is on waivers.
Yeah, I think Peter Mrazek, I passed him in the hallway.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he was here having a fucking he was enjoying a deep dish pizza.
Hell yeah.
And I saw him yesterday, and I think that's qualifications to get him, because remember that one guy that we had as an e-bug for 5 seconds? That's the accountant. Yeah, he actually turned us down.
Yeah, he said, "No fucking way, I'm going to a team that has Wyatt Kaiser on the top."
He's like, I actually have more respect and money at my accounting job.
Yeah, I'll just keep fucking resurfacing the ice instead. Thanks, though.
Jesus Christ, it's so bad.
Yeah, sorry, and I know a couple Hawks fans too, and
I do too.
I'm so sorry. It's gonna be bad.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be really bad. Here's okay. We'll end on the Hawks with positive things. Bedard might is the favorite to win the Calder.
Yeah,
I
think so.
At the moment, he's the favorite to win the Calder. I mean, unlike last year where Matty Beniers was basically just given the Calder.
Yeah.
As much as we love the guy, he was given the Calder. There was no competition for him.
I think Michelli was starting to push a little bit at the
end. This year is very deep. This year is going to be a very interesting Calder race. And the fact that we're sitting here pretty confident that Connor Bedard is still the front runner shows a lot because he's got a lot of people nipping on his heels right now.
Real quick shout out to the Chicago Blackhawks media team. Go watch videos of Pavel Datsyuk, some of these guys with some pretty nasty hands, and just figure out what a saucer pass is. Please. I don't want to see a fucking knuckle puck from Bedard to Taylor Hall being called a saucer pass ever again. That's all I'll say.
It's pretty rough.
It's
pretty rough.
Brutal.
The other positive, you'll get to see Andreas Athanasiou skate really fast in a straight line.
Yeah.
Corey Perry might maim somebody.
I'm there for that as long as he's not doing it to
he might be there to end somebody's career.
I think
that could be exciting.
The positive for this team is like any rebuilding team, just focus on the young kids, man.
In individual accomplishments.
Yeah, Kurashev and Reichel, those are guys to kind of keep an eye on, younger guys. So, and then Kevin Korchinski, obviously. So there's some positives there, but it's going to be a long season. Oh, and Connor
far few and in between. Yeah, and Connor Bedard, of course. All right, Taylor, I'm gonna set you up for this. We already kind of talked about it a little bit. The Logan Cooley Coyotes.
The Cooley Coyotes. That's a
Cooley Coyotes.
Name.
That is really good. The Cooley Coyotes. I'm sure your buddy Keller would take exception to that, but in any case, the Coyotes we both have at number 7. Tell me a little bit about the Coyotes, how they're looking right now.
Really young, right? I mean, this is what you want to see from another rebuilding team, right? You want to see the Kellers and the Schmaltz and the Barrett Haytons up front, mix in some Logan Cooley, some Dylan Guenther is a name to not forget about. Dylan Guenther was a pretty high pick a couple years back and has done nothing but show that he is a good player at a lot of levels. Matthias Michelli is still there. The kid's if he can build off of what he did last year, I mean, he could easily be a second line guy. And then it gets a little stinky from there. So I think this forward group.
How dare you besmirch the name of Nick Bajugstad?
Oh, Bajugstad. I'm so sorry, Nick.
Nick has been nothing but a workhorse for this team, okay?
Yeah. Yep, he sure has. And so is Jason Zucker. They're just long-term Coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean this team is so promising up front. Like this is their focus area for the last few drafts have been up front. So there's another kid. I think they're working on a contract with him. I think he's RFA. What the fuck is his name? Anyways, they have even more firepower, young firepower that's coming. Mm-hmm. And so I mean, this team, you give them 3 years, they're really going to make a little push. Like I do believe in what Armstrong is doing in Arizona.
Yes.
So, but yeah, just really young up front. So I mean, they could surprise a couple teams. If these young guys take a step, like we say with every young player on every single team. Mm-hmm. Who knows, right? But I think there's a couple more years of some struggle bus ahead for this team. So
agreed. You can tell that this team is, it hit that bottom, and while it's still there, it's on the upswing. Yeah. So there's hope for that. Like this team is getting better year to year instead of getting worse year to year.
Right. Or staying fucking same.
Right. Exactly. What?
Same shitty team. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that that's like paramount because like I look at the defensive pairings. While this is nothing to write home about, it's nothing to be excited about. Like I'm starting to know these names.
Sure.
Like JJ Moser.
Yep.
Philamaki. Troy. I know Troy Stetcher. He's a solid vet. Matthew Dumba. Like these are names compared to previous years where if you asked me like, hey Chance, who's on the Coyotes defense? I don't fucking know.
Is Keith Yandel still there?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Shane Doan played offense.
Yeah, he's now playing defense.
Yeah. To the very, very sad news to the Coyote fans, Shea Weber will most likely not be dressing for you.
That's unfortunate.
Nor will Brian Little.
Yeah, Brian Little and maybe Jacob Voracek if.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
The other two names, Sean Dersey coming over from I believe L.A.
Okay.
Decent little defensive defenseman, a little bit of two-way. And then Josh Brown has been really good for them on their AHL team. So, an interesting D. I mean, much like you're saying, much better than it's been. So
yeah,
can't
the Yotes have an opportunity to play a little money ball here, where like they've got nothing to lose. Like there's no like if the Coyotes are 32nd in the league, there's no pressure. Like no one's going to be like, yeah. That's what an awful season for the Coyotes. Like, no, like you're like, oh, it's the Coyotes. They could easily be 32nd.
Can I tell you something fun about my rankings?
Tell me about your rankings.
I originally looking at their young players, I got such a chub, and I had them in a playoff spot. I like their young guys.
You've been staring at their amazing jerseys for too long.
I have. Yeah,
God, those jerseys, man, they're so good. These jerseys, they never need to change them. That logo is sick. The colors are awesome. Never change these jerseys.
Yep. The part that really drops them down to 7th for me, I think they have a lot of, their defense is could potentially be one of the better Ds in this division from what I was looking at.
Tell me about the goalies, though.
Goalies are horrible, dude. So I know Vejmelka was basically there as like, okay, they're in rebuild mode. Let's just get a guy in there that's just gonna fucking soak up a bunch of.
And he played okay.
He played okay. So, but I don't think. He's not a goalie that's gonna move them super far out of that 7th spot.
Fair.
Is that fair?
Fair. Yeah. No, I don't see that. He's gonna be there and he'll play above average for most of it. But a goalie playing just above average on this team is not gonna move the needle at all.
Yeah.
This is not a goalie that's going to be able to steal you games on a nightly basis. So, unfortunately, I want the Coyotes to do well, but this is,
they're not going to be a tough win or an easy win for folks.
No,
I think they're still going to battle it out.
No,
that coach is good.
And we're talking about division, so they're going to be rounding out the bottom of the division. But as far as the conference goes, like, they've got a decent chance of being better than the Sharks, the Ducks, Vancouver. Yeah, so there's like progress, progress.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance they finish just inside or just outside the bottom 10.
Yeah, I would put it, like, in terms of scale and ranking in my head that makes no sense and I've never elaborated on. I would put the Coyotes like slightly below Winnipeg.
Sure.
Like they're not. Because even I have thoughts on Winnipeg.
Yeah. Let's get to Winnipeg then. I think the Coyotes. Are pretty cemented into a pretty low roll.
7th. Yeah. So yeah, as you mentioned, this is probably the most division that we have the most separation on.
Yeah.
So, you've got to Fire Chief John Miller's dismay. You've got the Preds at number 6.
I do.
Tell me what you're thinking about the Preds.
I'm thinking I don't know where goals are going to come from. So if I look at their forward group, I'm going to put the young Coyotes team forward group above them. I'm gonna put the Preds forward group as low as, if you put them up right next to each other against the Connor Bedard Blackhawks, I think we're looking very similar. I don't see.
Wow.
I don't see anything on this team. I mean, Philip Forsberg's a good player. Ryan O'Reilly is a good player. Who else is good on this fucking forward group? Right? Gustav Nyquist is way past any sort of middle six relevance. Cody Glass is okay, right?
Yeah.
Denis Gurianov hasn't done shit since he had that 1 year with Dallas.
He had a breakout rookie. They're probably hoping that he's going to have a rebound.
Yeah. Tomasino is I mean, he's young, but I mean, he hasn't shown anything crazy. And then you just kind of start getting into some no names. So I can compare this forward group to Chicago, and that's not a good sign. I mean,
how dare you compare Luke Evangelista,
bro? Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a fucking stud.
Absolutely.
I mean, I like some of the players on. I like some of the players where they're at. Right, like Thomas Novak I'm okay with him as a third line center. Probably a fourth line guy, but that's, Colton Sissons, same thing. I think those are both fourth line guys. But yeah, outside of realistically Ryan O'Reilly, on the downswing of his career, and Phil Forsberg's a stud, but it's just I'm not seeing much of anything. So I will start talking and bringing it up a little more. Their coaching change was nice. So I mean that's the only way I could see them moving a little higher than sixth. And you get an absolute world class play from your goaltender, I think, too, is another one to not scoff at. But
sure.
Yeah. So moving on to the D pairings. Roman Yossi's still a beast. I think he pairs well with a Luke Shen, right? Like a totally defensive defenseman. With a guy, a rover, essentially a fourth forward, right? Roman Josi. And Roman Josi is good on both ends of the ice. I think he's a great D. Ryan McDonough is, again, Ryan O'Reilly's over the hill, right? I mean, he can put you some solid minutes, but he's not going to move the needle. And Tyson Barrie, I don't fucking know what this guy's going to be, right? I don't know what Tyson Barrie is. He fell out.
I don't think Tyson Barrie knows what Tyson Barrie is.
Exactly.
See, look, Tyson Barrie would have been a great hockey player if I wasn't chirping him at the Spokane Arena when he was playing with the Kelowna Rockets.
He does bring that up quite a bit.
He was the top. He was WHL Player of the Year. They were even at a Spokane Chiefs game. They're handing out pamphlets of saying that he's the top defenseman of the year. Everybody loves Tyson Barrie. And hey, your team that you like tonight, this guy's playing on the opposite team. Gotta love him. So of course we're chirping him. We're just behind. And every time that guy steps foot on the ice, hey, Barrie sucks.
Yeah, and he knows it.
And he knows it. And it resonated with this man in his brain to the point where he's like, you know what? Maybe I do suck.
Yeah, I mean he'll still put up a few points. I think he'll probably be he could be, as low as 30 with this team. He could be as high as 50. I mean, that's probably his ceiling is 50, right?
I would agree.
So
40 is more likely, but
I like him. I like him on this roster, and putting him with the defensive defenseman that Ryan McDonough is at this point in his career. Totally okay with that. Their D is actually not the biggest issue for me.
I would say I would classify the defense as solid.
Solid, yeah. I mean, there's better Ds in this division, let alone
reliable.
League. Yeah, reliable's fine.
I would say reliable is also another good description.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's really going to be, Andrew Burnett is going to have to play an absolute defensive system in order for this team to have success, because that forward group is fucking gross, bro. That's bad.
So I do agree with you, but I have them ranked higher in my list because I do like the back end a lot. So the defensive pairings I look at, I can trust all these lines. They're not, even the last line is not bad. It's a standard third line defensive pair.
Sure.
I don't see weakness on this. And then you've got UC Soros, who, you know what, maybe we're even guilty of underrating this guy in the top 5 conversation.
I still think he's top 3 in this division.
Sure.
I put him top 10.
I mean, in the league, it's like, I think because Nashville kind of flies under the radar, it's not necessarily a traditional market, and because Nashville is not necessarily good at the moment, I think a lot of people don't understand that, like, between Roman Josi and Josi Soros, they dragged this team. We like to say it with Edmonton, and it's a mild embellishment with Connor McDavid. But like that one year that Nashville got in, the year that Colorado won, and they just dusted Nashville in 4. They only got to the playoffs because of Roman Josi and Josi Soros.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything to the contrary that they can do it again. They have Yossi's got a better supporting cast around him, and I agree with you that there's not a lot of goals coming from up front, but I also don't necessarily see like the first line is a first line, the second line is probably a third line somewhere, the third line's probably a third line, and the fourth line's a fourth line. So it's this is a fine team. It's okay. It's good. I think Ryan O'Reilly is going to kind of rally the guys in the room. I like his leadership here. I'm betting on Denis Goryanov having a bounce back year, getting out of Dallas. Cody Glass has always been a guy that he's not a local, but he played up here, didn't he? Tri-Cities?
That's a good question.
Okay.
I think you're right.
I think he's a U.S. division WHLer. So Cody Glass is good. Nyquist is a career journeyman, but there's a reason why he keeps getting work in the NHL. I'm not saying this team is going to light the world on fire. I'm not even necessarily saying that they're a playoff team, but I do think that this team kind of rises to the occasion a little bit. There's optimism with this team, and a lot of Nashville players. It might be one of those scenarios where like we finally don't have any pressure on us, so we might do well. If that makes any sense. I understand where everything that you said, I agree with. I do see a goal problem coming from this front line. Like the offense is definitely a problem. Where are the goals going to come from? My answer, my positive devil's advocate answer is the blue line will chip in and they'll score enough to win games 2-1 and 1-0.
Yeah. I definitely. I mean, with UC Soros and Roman Josi, anything's possible. And I think an underrated version of Andrew Burnett is who I wanted the Ducks to bring in, right? I think every team in this league should have been chasing Andrew Burnett, but it's a tall task. So we'll see what they can do. That's why I have them super low. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Fair enough. All right, who are we going to next, Taylor?
Let's go to Winnipeg. We did kind of touch on them a little bit.
Okay, so we're gonna jump to Winnipeg. I'll lead us off here on this because Winnipeg is an interesting situation where we've kind of mentioned it in previous shows where we don't really know what the fuck Winnipeg's gonna do, huh?
Yeah, no, it's funny looking over this roster. There's a couple guys on their top 9 that they were just like, yeah, LA will take those guys, thanks, bro. Like it's just like it's like Gabe Velarde and Iafallo, right? Like, yeah, we'll take those guys.
And they were the beneficiaries of getting PLD or getting rid of PLD rather.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, let me look at this from a positive perspective first before I get negative. Scheifele is an absolute stud, even if he doesn't want to be there. Velarde is a solid pickup on this. I think that Velarde is actually a solid player. He's not the problem. This is what LA wanted. LA wanted to get rid of a couple good guys and get a great guy, or at least what they thought was a great guy.
Right.
Gabriel Velarde is a good hockey player. Like nothing. He's not going to light the world on fire. He's not a fucking 40 goal scorer, but he's a good hockey player.
Right.
Solid guy that you can plug and play anywhere on your lineup. Gonna love where he is. If you're a long-time listener to the show, you know what a big fan of Kyle Connor than I am.
Yeah, he won me my league last year.
Yeah, Kyle Connor is an absolute fucking stud. And if any of the rumors that he has been like floated to teams is true, the Winnipeg coach needs to be fired, or the Winnipeg GM needs to be fired immediately. Kyle Connor is a guy that you build a team around. Like I have that high of an opinion of that guy. Ehlers, absolutely fantastic. Perfetti, yeah, it's Cole Perfetti,
Right.
It's Cole Perfetti. Nino Niederreiter, also one of those journeyman players that I absolutely love because you can plug and play him wherever he needs to be. Yeah, he's getting a little long in the tooth and he's getting older, but Nino can still do Nino stuff.
Well, and that's where you want him. You want him on a second line with two guys that are much younger, right?
Nino Niederreiter is like a young Paul Stastny. Like you're going to plug him in wherever you need to be. Alex Alafilo is right where he needs to be. He's a third line winger.
Yeah, good.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah. Lowry is a solid hockey player. Appleton, I like he's kind of more of a jam, getting in there and getting pucks deep and that kind of thing. I wouldn't necessarily call him a grinder, but he's going into the play. He's going into the boards. Yeah, he's got the juice. He's got the stuff. And then that fourth line is a fourth line. Nemestikov is also a journeyman nowadays. He's just kind of cruising into the sunset here, so to speak. And I don't know the other two guys. So this offense is hopeful. Now, their mental state, and that guys wanting out of Winnipeg because it's always cold. Like they don't understand how it's always cold there. Like Alaska is warmer than Winnipeg, and it doesn't make any sense.
They don't understand.
They don't. They're so confused. Yeah. They're so confused on how it's middle of August and it's snowing.
What the fuck?
What is happening?
I hate it.
Yeah, and then they leave the arena and they're like, "Let's go to the bar." Right. And they're like, "Which bar?" And you're like, "The bar."
The bar. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Not only is it the only bar in town, but it's called the bar.
Do they serve food? No, that you go to the restaurant.
You go
and then you go to the bar. Like
you go to the restaurant, yeah.
Right.
And then afterward, then you go to the strip club.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and then practice.
The rink just says practice on it.
Practice.
Yeah. They didn't even like name it like the memorial fucking. No, it's just the practice rink.
The practice, the place we practice.
And then the big arena is the game rink.
Ice hockey played here.
Fucking love that. Okay, so that's the positive stuff. I do like their offensive core. They're I would argue that they're 9 deep with a standard fourth line.
Yeah.
The defense, ever since they lost Bufflin, this has been a problem.
Stinky, yeah.
Like Josh Morrissey is in a sea of mediocrity.
And he's a good player.
He is great.
I like Josh Morrissey, right?
He's great, but he's surrounded by guys that are just aggressively mediocre. Nate Schmidt is a shadow of what he once was. Brendan Dillon, Pionk, DeMello. These are guys, Yeah. They're not no names, but they're not going to move the needle. They're there to play defense and get walked every once in a while.
Yeah.
And you don't need that. They've gotten away with that because you once again have Connor Hellebuck in goal.
Right.
And Connor Hellebuck is arguably one of the top 5 goalies in the league. And as long as you have Connor Hellebuck, I am never going to write that team off of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
That being said, this is all talking on paper, looking at this and the numbers and whatnot.
Right.
You got to kind of look at the locker room situation. It just the vibes that are coming out. I know that sounds like a very millennial term, but the vibes coming out of Winnipeg are bad. It sounds like basically it's sounding like the Connor Hellebuck's only motivation to play well right now is to get traded.
Sure.
And that goes for Scheifele. Does not want to be there. He will not be on this team. He's not re-signing with them. There's been rumors about Ehlers. Kyle Connor's been on the trading block if those guys are gone. So it's not an optimistic situation, but on paper, this team should do well.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair, right? But if these guys do want to get traded to a contender, they got to show something, right? So I still think there's a little bit of game. I think maybe Rick Bowness has, maybe he's not looking at people's fucking text messages and shit. So. I like them in the 4th spot. I think we had them pretty close. I think we don't quite know exactly based on what you're saying, right? I mean, they could all get fucking traded. So
I think of them as the Calgary of this division.
Sure.
Where if Calgary just shits the bed in their bottom 3, okay, and if they just light the world up and they somehow creep into the top 3, okay, it's possible. So I think you and I played it safe, kind of putting them in the 4 or 5 spots.
Yep, 100%.
Yep, I could see that. All right, Taylor, tell me a little bit, because you're so fucking high and mighty on them. I know that you've been you and Devin have been talking. I know it. He was just whispering sweet nothings into your ear about how Tarasenko is holding this team back. Tell me a little bit about the St. Louis Blues.
I would love to, Chance.
Okay.
This is a team that on paper, right? This is a very similar team for me to Winnipeg. I think the obviously glaring hole that they have is they don't have Connor Hellebuck. But I really I like what they've done up front. I mean, does Kevin Hayes move the needle to make them, surpass Dallas or Colorado? No, I don't think so. But I mean, they made some good moves. I like the Kasperi Kapanen. I like him on this team. I think Jacob Verana showed us the kind of player that he can be when he's not shit-faced on moonshine, right? Like, he's a good player. So, and then, obviously their top line is three studs. Brandon Saad is just I think you see Verana potentially on that line, and then you kind of make that Kevin Hayes, Brandon Saad, Sammy Blais line. That's your third. And then I think you can go as far. Jake Neighbors is a good young kid, right? Like if he can get going, Oscar Sundqvist is a decent one to round out the fourth line. So when it comes to this division, and just the way that we look at some of these teams, this is a pretty decent 9. I could even go as far as saying even Toropchenko, or however the hell you say it. I think you could even go as far as saying that fourth line is pretty decent for a fourth line. So I mean they have some old gray hairs mixed in, but I think I do think that this team has a good potential up front. I think their forward group is pretty solid. So that definitely played a role. I think in this division they have one of the better forward groups. Just looking at it, so
okay,
on paper at least, right? So yeah. And then you get to the D pairs. I mean, you have some names on here, right? Like names are one thing. Being able to translate that is obviously another. But you still have Colton Parayko still back there. You got Torrey Krug still back there, and then I think the other guys kind of fill in from there with Falk and Letty, and Robert Pertuzzo is not a bad bottom pairing guy. So I think you get into their D pairs. There's much worse D setups in this division alone. So I do like their D in that regard. Obviously, their issue is goaltending, right? What are we going to see from Jordan Binnington? Is he going to be trying to fight everybody again? Are we going to see Hofer or Hoffer, however you say it? I think Binnington, he's kind of got this. He needs to at least have this prove it chip on your shoulder mentality, because he was fucking bad, dude. He has not been a good goalie since their cup run, really. So that's clearly where their issue is, and that's my breakdown. And I will not be taking any questions.
All right, that's fair. I won't ask you any questions because I'm gonna tell you some stuff. All right. Robert Thomas is the shit. Jordan Kyrou is also very good. Buchnevich is solid. Mm-hmm. Brennan Saad is yesterday's news, my friend.
Sure.
Braden Shen is just okay, and Kasperi Kapanen is yesterday's news. That third line, Jakob Verana is if you can look past whatever the fuck he did in Detroit, I don't know what his actual problem was. Apparently it wasn't bad enough to get him banned from the NHL or anything. So he's still around. He obviously, we speculated that he slept with Yzerman's wife. We're not sure. That's just pure speculation here. But in any case, he's skating on this third line with Kevin Hayes. I love Kevin Hayes. That guy he's one of the most solid, down to earth dudes. He's going to be great for that locker room.
Yep.
I don't know if Kevin Hayes has got anything left in the tank. And Sammy Blais, if Sammy Blais was going to work out, he would have worked out already. That fourth line's a fourth line. Sundqvist is a jammer, a grinder. I don't know the other two guys. This is a pretty. It's an okay lineup. I don't see anything that screams off the page. That second line really concerns me in the sense that, they're names, but even in their primes, were those names amazing? Like Kasperi Kapanen?
I don't think he's had a good opportunity yet. I mean,
and defenders of him, I can understand that. Shen is right where he needs to be, and Saad, I mean, his time's passed. I think that's simply it. And then if you combine, the B minus B offense with the defense here, where I mean, Nick Leddy is a shadow of what he once was.
Sure.
Parayko is still okay, but Parayko is only what Parayko is. Like making Parayko kind of into a Vince Dunn type or something like that. It's just not. It's not going to happen. He's at the end of the day, he's a defenseman. He's not going to necessarily be amazingly helpful on the offense. Torrey Krug is good. I don't mind Torrey Krug. I know that some Blues fans have kind of soured on him, but he was even tried to be recently. It came out that they tried to trade him to Philly, and he's like, "Fuck, I'm not doing that."
Yeah, no one.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
It's like, hey, Torrey, this cush gig that you've got here in St. Louis. Do you want to go and get yelled at by John Tortorella in Philly? Yeah, that's what I want to do. So he said, "Fuck no," and he's with Justin Falk, who, historically has been a disappointment for this team. They traded for Falk thinking that this was going to be, a number one defenseman kind of situation, and he's been, I wouldn't even say aggressively mediocre. He's at times been bad. He's been kind of a disappointment, and Bortuzzo at bottom pairing. And as you mentioned, I'll be a little positive more on Binnington in the sense that I think that Binnington is an above average goaltender. It's just he's a hothead, man. For better or for worse. Sometimes that riles up the guys. Everybody in the world jumps on Binnington when he, slams his stick or tries to fight somebody or something like that. They're like, oh, he's got a fucking butt. No, that's hockey, man. I fucking love the jam. He cares. Like, he's getting into it. That's the fucking game. I love that shit. It's when that type of aggressive behavior starts influencing your play, then it's a problem. And it seems like Binnington's got that kind of issue. So I don't rank Binnington as an elite goalie. I don't even necessarily would say that he's a good goaltender, but he's fine. He's good enough to where he's not going to just be absolutely terrible any given night. I know he had a bad season last year. He'll probably bounce back a little bit on that, but I just don't see a lot of optimism on this team. Like kind of what you were saying with Nashville, where are the goals coming from?
All the lines. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Kasperi Kapanen. Okay, so let's do a little.
Kasperi Kapanen. What's he gonna score? 20 goals?
Kasperi Kapanen had 14 points in 23 games last year.
Okay.
That's good. For
how many
production?
How many of those were goals?
8 goals in 23 games. You put that over a full season.
So 8 goals in 20. We'll give him 8 goals in 20 games. There's 80 games. 8, 16, 24.
Right, he's probably a 25 goal scorer. That's still very nice.
Okay.
Jake Neighbors is young, but he's someone to look out for. He's a really young guy, but he's a good player.
Not an isolated fourth line role.
No, he'll surpass Brandon Saad or Sammy Blais at some point, right? So you're gonna get some scoring there.
Okay.
Kevin Hayes had like 57 points on a shitty fucking team.
I think it's because he was the first line center for that team.
Sure. I mean, you could pull that up, but it's still a horrible fucking team.
He's skating with Verona and Sammy Blais. Verona is a one-dimensional offensive player that does not play defense at all, and Sammy Blais is a grinder.
And all Kevin Hayes does is play defense, right? So 57 points on a shitty team where he is just he is the defensive forward.
I think he was playing in an offensive role on this. This is where we're going to have the most, because I just don't see where the offense is coming from on this team.
Yeah, I completely disagree with you.
There is no power play quarterback on this team. Is it Nick Leddy?
It's Torrey Krug.
Okay.
But you don't need that. If you look, so what are you going to do? Jordan Kyrou, you can throw Jacob Verana on there because he's a power play specialist. You can do Bushnevich and Thomas. You don't need a defenseman to just absolutely fucking wheel and deal. You have a very solid 4 on that top power play unit. And I think that's totally fine.
All right. And that second power play unit is just dog shit.
Yeah, that second power play unit is a rest for the first power.
Correct.
Play.
Correct. Yeah, they're out there just to move the puck around a little bit.
I mean, but so if you're looking at this forward group, right? I think this forward group can easily compete with, on paper, Winnipeg. I don't think they're quite there with Dallas and Colorado, but I mean they're just a notch. I mean the forward group is a notch underneath those teams, and it's
God,
not that bad, dude.
I don't know. I don't know
if
we've disagreed this hard in a while.
Brandon Saad is 1 year removed from a 50-point season in like 70 something.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great production for a third line player, dude. Why like that's exactly what you're telling me. You don't want your third line.
I'm saying
to score 50 points.
I'm saying that that's not a needle mover. Like he's doing what he's supposed to.
Yeah, it is.
Nah.
50 points for a third line player is a needle mover. That's
so what? He's 20 goals and 30 assists.
I think he's probably 15 and 35, but I give him 20 goals.
I don't see where the goals are. You're hoping from Robert Thomas to have a 40 goal season, and you're hoping Kyrou to have a 35 goal season.
You're super low on Pavel Buchnevich. The kid was almost a point per game player. Right? Like there's a lot more offense on this team than you're thinking. I think you're thinking with your That's the first friend to be right.
No, that's not it. I've been high on the Blues for quite a while, but they traded away all their players.
Who?
Well,
Tarasenko and Ryan O'Reilly?
Senko's gone, O'Reilly's gone. Basically, like it's a natural progression to measure from the high point. So let's look at the Stanley Cup winning roster that won this team. Who's left?
I think where they're missing is the defense. But that's why I have them in that 3 to 4 range in this division and not at the bottom. They haven't moved that far.
I'll give you the defense is kind of like how I look at Nashville's defense. Like it's defense. Like it's not moving the needle. Torrey Krug, if Torrey Krug is your offensive defenseman on this, I'm not expecting any. I'm expecting very little offense to come from my defense.
But that's okay because you have, I can give them. I can give that forward group. I'll give that forward group. That's the third best forward group in this division.
God, that's so wrong.
Without even a doubt.
This is a one line team with a solid with a acceptable defense and a schizophrenic goalie.
Well, I mean that's schizophrenic goalie is not wrong, but. Yeah,
what I'm saying is this team is not good enough to outscore its problems. Like if Binnington decides to blow a gasket and let in 4, they're done. They're not winning that hockey game.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. But
whereas like I'll use an example of because we use Toronto a lot for that example. Like you score 4 goals against Toronto. Great, we're going to win 6-4. Like, that's just what we're going to do. Because that's how we play hockey. We don't give a shit if you score 4 goals because we're going to score 6. That's just how it goes. This team is not built that way. I don't see the scoring here to be. It's a solid team. It's not a bad team. I'm not saying it's a bad team. I'm just saying it's.
You're saying they're a 6th. You have them ranked 6th in this division. That is a bad team.
I'm compared to Winnipeg and Nashville.
Oh man! All right, we can move on. I disagree with you completely.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. No, we'll see how the Blues do.
Yeah.
Third, God, you got them so high.
Yeah, why not? They're better than on paper. They're better than the rest of that division.
They only got worse in the offseason.
Disagree.
And they didn't even make the playoffs.
You replaced Kevin Hayes with Ryan O'Reilly. Totally okay with that.
Oh, because Kevin Hayes and Ryan O'Reilly are just the exact same player, 100%.
Right, cool. Let's. You know what? Now you're pissing me off.
You're making me bash Kevin Hayes because I love Kevin Hayes. Okay, I love Kevin Hayes. He's he's probably one of the best dudes in the league.
How many points did Ryan O'Reilly have in 53 games last year?
Close to that, right?
God no, dude. He put up 30 points.
Oh.
So on
See, I was trying to give him more benefit. You just proved my point.
Right. So
he was in a first line role in Philly and he put up 30 points.
No. This is Ryan O'Reilly.
Ryan O'Reilly.
Did I say Kevin Hayes?
You did say Kevin Hayes.
Ryan O'Reilly put up 30 points in 53 games. That's not terrible. That's not first line center minutes. Right? You're getting a Kevin Hayes. You're basically replacing Ryan O'Reilly with, I mean, arguably the same guy. I mean,
okay, but so, and I understand this is mildly biased, but like you can look at it and say like, okay, has Kevin Hayes gone to a team and immediately changed the dynamic in the locker room to win them a Stanley Cup? No.
When's the last time Ryan O'Reilly did that?
With the St. Louis Blues.
Sure, like fucking 5 years ago, right? So if
was it really 5 years ago?
Yeah. So if you're looking at like complete 1-to-1 trades,
that was 5 years ago.
It's a pretty decent trade off, right? And then Tarasenko.
Ryan O'Reilly was skating first line minutes on this team. Kevin Hayes is a third line center now.
Yeah, when you want first line production out of a third line center, come on, man.
You're trying to say that there's depth here, and I'm not going to. I am not besmirching the name of Robert Thomas. Okay, I love Robert Thomas. I'm just saying Braden Shen is fine.
Yeah,
He's not amazing. He's not great. He's fine.
Two second line centers in your middle six.
Okay, well he's flanked by two dudes that are past their prime.
You can't call Kasperi Kapanen past his prime. He's in his prime. He's 27 years old. That is prime age.
All right.
They're gonna. I think they'll surprise you. I think if we see. I personally think they had locker room issues last year, and I wonder if it was Tarasenko. I wonder if Torrey Krug is maybe
probably didn't help. Yeah.
Right. So I mean.
Okay.
We'll
see. We'll see. And I'm sure if they do well, then I'll be reminded by it by you and our mutual friend. So
yeah, they'll be better than last year. I'll tell you that.
Are you saying that they're going to be well, of course you're saying they're a playoff team. You're putting them third in the division.
Yeah, I am. I can see this team. I can see this team in the playoffs.
That's bonkers.
The only way that they don't, Binnington is still a fucking nut job.
So that's so bonkers. I just don't see it at all. There's no way. There's no way. Anyway, okay. So let's go to my third pick. I've got Minnesota in the third spot.
Okay. So
tell me, actually, yeah, start us off while I pull up Minnesota right now.
Cool. I think what we're looking at is the big thing with Minnesota for me is because people are ranking them pretty high. I think we're basically banking on the fact that their tendies are going to do what they did last year, and that's this setup of Gustafsson and Fleury. Fleury's getting very long in the tooth.
Gustafsson is the real deal, though.
Is he though? How do you know that?
He played well last season, and it wasn't
season.
It wasn't one. Okay, this isn't a Levi situation where he played 7 games. This guy played a full season and had tremendous numbers.
What were his tremendous numbers? Let's go there first.
Okay, well, I would have to pull it up now. You can't just put me on the spot.
I got you. I just needed to figure out how to spell his fucking last name because it's fucking ridiculous.
All right, while you do that, so looking at the top pairing, Kirill Kaprizov. I don't think even the most avid Minnesota Wild hater has to admit this kid is good.
Yeah.
Nothing there. Ryan Hartman, I would definitely say he's probably a second line center in my personal opinion. Sure. But that's not where the strength of the Minnesota Wild comes in. He's a second line center. Mats Zuccarello is there for veteran presence. Still got a shot. I'm kind of thinking him as like Jaromir Jagr light in his later years. Like, dude can still score goals, but you can't necessarily count on him for all situations, so to speak.
Sure.
Boldy is a fucking stud.
He's a stud. He's good.
He's player. A fucking stud.
Yeah.
Absolute stud. You can't disagree with this. This kid is. I would take Kirill Kaprizov and Matthew Boldy over Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou any day of the week. Any day of the week.
Okay.
It's not even, to me, it's not even close. Those two guys are fucking going to be stars in the NHL. Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou are good. I don't want to. Like, they're not bad by any means. We're comparing A+ level players here to A level player. Like we're splitting hairs, but if I was gun to my head, if I had to pick two, Boldy and Kaprizov I'm going with these guys. Ek is another second line center. totally. He's right where he needs to be. Marcus Johansson is a bit of a wild card here. He could have a good season. He could have a shit season.
He's a third-line player.
Sure. I would, if he's bad, third-line player. I will accept that. He's a bit of a wild card in my opinion. The third line: Marcus Foligno, Marco Rossi, and Frederick Gaudreau. This is a good third line in my opinion.
It's not bad.
Yeah, Foligno and Rossi are solid guys. I think even with a little bit of time, they could even make their way up the lineup a little bit. And Gaudreau is just there. Mm-hmm. Fourth line, Patrick Maroon? Is that Patty Maroon?
That's Patty Maroon.
Holy shit. Okay, well, I mean, Patty Maroon's not bad to have on your fourth line.
Sure.
The big rig has got, what, 4 cups? Like an ungodly number of Stanley Cups that you would not think.
One was St. Louis, and I think 2 with Tampa.
Fuck, it's unreal. We live in a world where Patrick Maroon has 3 Stanley Cups and Henrik Lundqvist has 0.
Yeah,
it's unreal. And then Dewar and those guys are filler fourth liners. But this team is going to score goals. Like gone are the days are Sutter and Parise where they're just struggling hard to get goals. This team is going to put up production. If I had any issue, it's the defensive pairings. Middleton is middling. Jared Spurgeon, I think I'm contractually obligated to not say anything bad about Jared Spurgeon. I think somewhere I signed a contract that says I can't say anything bad about Jared Spurgeon.
Yep.
Because he played for the Spokane Chiefs. So I don't think I can say anything bad about him. You're not going to get production from Jared Spurgeon, but he is one of the most reliable defensemen in the league. Mm-hmm. Broden is a solid defenseman. Goligoski, that's a name. You can count on him to play those minutes down there. I don't know much about Addison and Faber.
Young guys.
Okay, yeah. So you've got names here. This is more of a question mark to me than a concern. But we'll see how it goes. I'm not worried about it. The goaltending is where Philip Gustafsson, to me, he sold me on him. Like, it wasn't one of those things where it's not a Carter Hart situation where he played a little bit and then he was bad like the last 2 months of the season. You're like, oh fuck, what the hell's going on? He showed me that he's the real deal, and it's clear because he is as we walk into the season, he's the starting goalie instead of Marc-Andre Fleury that has the pedigree. Mm-hmm. I understand Fleury's getting older, but at the end of the day, they've trusted. In fact, they chose, in a sense, Gustafsson over Talbot.
Right. And
I'm historically on record saying that Talbot is terrible, but that's what I'm saying. Like, they're willing to trust this younger guy to fill the net with getting mentored by Marc-Andre Fleury. Like, who else would you want to be mentored on how to be a goalie? Like, mm-hmm. Fuck, come on. So I love the goaltending on this. The defense is a question mark, but it's not necessarily a concern for me. And for the first time in a very long time, I think that this team has got some offensive firepower.
All right, Blues offense is still better, but
I couldn't disagree more.
Yeah. All right, perfect. Let me go through my shit.
Hit me.
Cool. Matt Zuccarello is fine, right? I think he's going to continue to trend downward. He's been trending downward. I mean, playing with Kaprizov definitely helps his setup. You have 2 second-line centers, a young guy in Marco Rossi who could have a good season. Marco Rossi was a very high draft pick. He could be very good. Marcus Johansson is nobody. Ryan Hartman is second to third line. Joel Eriksson Ek is a second line. Frederick Gaudreau is there. Marcus Foligno is there for bang, and then a fourth line. So realistically on this team, you're looking for production from Kaprizov and Boldy, and everyone else is a huge question mark, right? To me, they just don't have, outside of those 2 guys, they don't have a ton of firepower. I think last year for some of these guys was more of the high rather than what they are going to continue to do, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if Rossi comes in. Rossi could move up this lineup, and that definitely helps their case. And Matt Zuccarello had a decent season last year. So I won't get past that. There's a ton of holes on this offense for me. In the D, I think as much as Dumbo was kind of this wild card, I think he shored up this D a little bit. I mean, even though he wasn't super offensive, still a pretty good defenseman, and he definitely can throw some body around. So Jacob Middleton's a nobody really. Kalen Addison is a good young player, but he's a very young player, and same with Brock Faber. So I'm with you. I think the D is the question mark. I think for me, Gustafsson is very similar to Aiden Hill. It's very similar to the Golden Knights situation. A 930 from a guy, second round for a goalie is a pretty high draft pick, and he's only 25. So I mean, I will eat my crow when he does this again, but you're basically saying if he replicates those numbers, he is a top five goalie in the league, right?
See,
And
and
I'm not ready in a half season. I'm not ready to call him that yet.
that's fair. And I'm not necessarily saying that he's a top five goalie. I don't, because I agree with you. He's not proven yet. But when you say you're comparing him to Aiden Hill, like, I'm high on Aiden Hill. I like Aiden Hill. I think that Aiden Hill has been underrated for quite a while. And now that he's got, the starter's role, I'm not saying that Aiden Hill is a top five goalie in the league, but there's an argument to be made that he's low top 10.
Aiden Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I mean, I think based on his year last year, I think
In fact, I'd probably put him at 10 or 9.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, I could get him close to 10. I'd say
Yeah,
he's probably 10.
probably around 10. Like, if I really had to think about it, he's around 10. He's at 10 or he's around 10.
Yeah.
So that's where, and you know what? Gustafsson is just, Aiden Hill's been in the league a little longer. We know his name a little bit more. Philip Gustafsson, I think that we're going to get to the point where he's in that conversation as well, in that lower 10 to maybe even close to 5 area. But at the moment, like, I see a lot of potential with this team. Do I think that they're going to do well? I see playoffs, but this is a team that they're kind of like the Sharks. They get to the playoffs and then they can't get it done. So I'm not going to talk about their playoff hopes, but I really do like this team. They seem solid, and they're for the first time in a while, they actually have consistent, reliable scoring that I'm happy with, and goaltending.
Yeah,
that's where I come on that. All right, who do we got? Who do we got next?
I think we're ready for the big two.
Are we really?
Yep.
That doesn't sound right. It does sound right. We are. All right. So we flip-flopped them. You lead off. I took Minnesota. You go with one or the other.
We can go to Dallas.
Hit it.
Dallas is going to be good again. I think Dallas's only area to highlight for them is probably their D. I do like Thomas Harley, and Heiskanen is a stud. But I think outside of that, right, you're looking at Ryan Suter. You're looking at, it's not outside of those two guys. I don't think there's really too much to call home about. But, I mean, for all we know, Heiskanen could take another step. And Thomas Harley showed some very nice skill and everything. Hakanpää is another one where he's kind of a filler, right? And then Esa Lindell is not someone to forget about. But I think overall, this deep pair, there's, again, it's very similar to the last two teams we've talked about. It's kind of, what are we going to get, right? What are we looking at here? So I do think, who knows? But I think that's just nitpicking. But I think Dallas's weakest spot is probably their D. They could also just blow that out of the water, and they have one of the best goalies in the league behind them, right? So I think this team is going to be good again. Their forward group is just it is pretty deep. I know they have the Jamie Benns and the Tyler Seguins.
So deep. This is such a fucking deep team.
But they're super deep. I mean, they have so many options. It's going to be an onslaught.
Matt Duchene is where he needs to be on a third line, and that's like amazing. Like that's. Yeah. He's right where he needs to be, and it even shows. Like when Matt Duchene's on your third line, you've got some depth.
Yeah. So the forward group is probably, if not the strongest in the division, I think it's definitely a close second to Colorado. So I mean, yeah, this is
good. When your worst player in your offensive core, when in your entire 12 is what? Dandaria or Smith?
Or Craig Smith, yeah.
But when those are your worst players, like, you're doing okay.
Yeah, you're feeling pretty good.
Like, those guys are solid. Like, they're not, they're not world beaters or anything, but they're solid. You can trust them.
Yeah, I mean, I would roll out those.
They're not no-name pricks from the AHL,
Right. Yeah, I'd roll those two guys out and feel completely comfortable with it. But yeah, Dadonov on the team. Mason Marchment's still a beast. Joe Pavelski is just turning back the clock of time. Like, he still puts up the fucking. Yeah. So their forward group is pretty nasty.
Can he do it in another year or two? I don't know, but we'll see.
I hope his contract only has like a year or two left for this team, but
it's probably for the best.
Yeah, but yeah, they're super deep there. D is the question mark. Goaltending is arguably the best in the division. I mean, I think you could probably argue.
I'm so high on Jake Ottinger.
Yeah.
So Jake Ottinger's so hot right now.
And Scott Wedgwood with his all black pads.
God, he's killing it with the all black pads. Yeah,
those are sick.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. The offense is absolutely one of the deepest, if not the deepest in the league.
Yeah.
Probably rivaling, Carolina and stuff like that. In terms of Carolina's defense is deep. Jason Robertson is absolute fucking stud. Pavelski's great. I hate Jamie Benn, but he's having a bit of a renaissance. Matt Duchene is a decent depth pick. When you're adding Matt Duchene for depth, you're doing something right. I would say the defensive pairings are, if you could say that there's question marks, it's definitely there. Sutter, Heiskanen, Hacka, however you fucking say his name, and Lindell are big names. They're solid. They can be counted upon for the most part. And Jake Ottinger's, if they make any mistakes, Jake Ottinger's there to pick up the slack more often than not. Like, this is a really good hockey team. As much as I don't like Jamie Benn as a Red Wings fan, I have to hate him. This team is pretty set to make a run.
One or two. There's no way they finish outside 1 or 2.
Yeah, they're gonna be probably button heads with Vegas again for the best team in this division, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right, last one, Colorado Avalanche.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll start us off because you took Dallas. Okay, so we've got news that is Landeskog done.
He's out for the year, but he's probably done overall, dude.
It's kind of like how Taze is like out, but he's he's not retiring, but he's retiring.
He's done.
Sure. So we're looking at this roster. Look, when you win the Stanley Cup, all you can do is try to run it back. You know what I mean? The best you can do is, like, we just won the Stanley Cup with this team. Let's try to keep it together as best we can and run it back and do it again. I think Colorado's tried to do that, but it's been tough because you've got a lot of guys that have been working hard in the Avalanche system that wanted more money, and they've been slowly leaving this team. Jonathan Drouin is an interesting pickup. I don't know how that's going to go over for them, to be completely honest.
If he can stay healthy, I think that's an opportunity for him.
Okay.
He's gonna be playing with some of the best players that.
Clearly sure, you could put anybody next to McKinnon and Rantanen, and they're going to be okay.
Right.
So Drouin is, and I think that's Sakic's idea here is that I'm going to bring in somebody that has at least raw talent that can keep up with these guys 100%. on the cheap.
Yep.
So there's that. And then your second line. See, this is the problem. Is like as we go down this roster, you lose more and more depth that was so instrumental to that Stanley Cup winning Colorado team. Like it's just not the team that it used to be. First off, huge missing component here is Darren Helm. Like you can't win without Darren Helm.
It's impossible. It's literally impossible.
Like without Darren Helm, I don't even know why they're going to ice a team. Honestly,
just forfeit 82
Yeah,
games.
right. Like Darren Helm was the heart and soul of this team for 2 years.
Don't fuck yeah, he was.
And elite 2-time Stanley Cup winning Darren Helm. That's right. He did win it with the Wings in 08. That's right. Yeah, think about that.
Fuck yeah. And you and I have 0.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. I have 0 Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
Arturi Lehkonen is good. Ryan Johansson is fine. Nichushkin is great. I don't have a problem with that second line. That's a very solid second line. Mm-hmm. It's just when we start getting down here, you start seeing the wear and tear on the team. Like this is going to happen when you win the Stanley Cup. You've got to try to do your best to try to keep the team together. And it's Miles Wood is fine in a third line role. Ross Colton is fine in a third line role. And Thomas Tatar is a journeyman who is a perpetual third liner. Mm-hmm. That's about it. He's not big enough to be a fourth liner, so he's just going to be in that depth scoring third line role. And then the fourth line, Cogliano, Ben Myers, and Logan O'Connor, that's just a fourth line. So, I mean, it's hard to put down a team that has Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen. Nichushkin also. This is a good team. And then especially, that's not, you have worries on the offense. Let me introduce you to the Colorado defense. Mm-hmm. If you have any issues on them not scoring, let me introduce you to Devin Tays, Cale Makar, and Bo Byram. Yeah, maybe with a side of Josh Manson and Jack Johnson in there.
Yeah, don't put some respect on Samuel Girard's name.
Sam Girard is also very good. This defense is one of the best in the league, if not arguably the best. Top 3, top 5.
Yeah, I mean it competes every night with Carolina and those kind of teams.
Correct. Absolutely. This defense is going to be able to pick up the slack not only for offensive mishaps, but they will be able to easily jump up into the play and help with the numbers that you're not. So when you lose the depth scoring on your offense, these defensemen are easily going to be able to jump up into the play and make up for it.
Sam Girard on your bottom pairing, who can basically be a fourth forward.
Yeah. Yes.
This D is so deep.
It's incredibly deep. Like this is one of the best Ds, if not the best D in the league. It will all the pseudo issues that I brought up with the lack of depth on the offense. This defense can easily make up for that. That is not a problem. So I would put that as a wash. The question mark here is goaltending, and historically, Sakic has taken pride in the fact that he can build a team up front and get away with just above average goaltending. Mm-hmm. He doesn't need elite goaltending. He's been able to build teams in front of them to where he almost kind of arrogantly thinks that he can just put almost anybody in the net and his team's still going to win as long as they're decent, passable goalies.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what he's done here. Like, is Alexander Gorgiev going to set the world on fire? No, but he's fine. And so is Pablo Francouz if he can stay healthy.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely their biggest question mark.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, it's not this is not goaltending that's going to set the world on fire. This is not elite goaltending. I wouldn't even argue that this goaltending duo is in the top 10.
No, I mean, what's crazy about this division, and I'll give you Philip Gustafsson just for my point here.
Okay.
This is probably the 5th worst goalie in this division.
It's true.
Like
I would probably,
and he had essentially a 920, right? So, I mean, still decent.
He's not better than Ottinger. He's not better than Gustafsson. He's not better than Soros. He's not better than Hellebuck. He's arguably better than he's Binnington level.
I agree. I think I think because of the defense in front of him.
Yeah,
ballooned him a little bit, but
so him and Binnington are fighting for 5th best goalie in the division.
Yeah.
And even on, I'll throw a bone to your Coyotes. Like, Veggie can have good nights.
Yeah,
where I'd
still put him a little lower, but I agree with you. I think it's probably Binning.
I wouldn't say that's a reflection on Veggie. It's more of the team in front of him. Yeah. Like so to credit to him, like I think if you took Veggie from Arizona and put him on Colorado, you wouldn't see too much of a change.
I am just gonna piss off all the Grubauer lovers. If you put fucking Peter Mrazek on this Colorado team,
Oh,
Peter Mrazek is going to put up
now we're talking.
better numbers than Gruby did last year, dude.
Fuck.
Oh, not
now you're cross. Names are fighting words to some people.
But Gruby was great in the playoffs. I can't even.
When you're starting to get compared to Peter Mrazek.
Oh, I mean, but that's the thing. Like, you can behind this D.
Yes.
D,
yep.
You can beat anybody.
Sakic knows that he can get away with having just average goaltending.
Yeah.
And that's what he's banking on again. He's saving money on his goaltenders to be able to pay his defense and his offense. And it's a bold strategy. It's not bad, and hey, it's worked out for him once.
Yeah.
So I do my only issue here is that, injuries. If this team
can you imagine?
If everybody's healthy, this team is everything that we just said is accurate. Man, all it takes is a grain of sand on this team and it starts falling in the rankings.
It takes a 2-mile-per-hour wind to fucking hurt the players on this team, dude.
Like
it's unreal. They had really bad luck.
Maybe you can lose Dylan. You can lose one of Taze, Makar, or Byram for a short amount of time, and you'll still be okay. But like if McKinnon gets an injury, an extended injury, is this team even making the playoffs?
If McKinnon is out for a half season, there's a good chance that this team is battling for a wild card spot. I don't think they would fall.
I agree, 100%.
Super low, but yeah,
that's how instrumental he is to this team.
He is that important. I think so. One of the things, and I'll kind of leave it on this: the issue with this team, besides the goaltending that I have, there's a lot of new faces, right? I think that's kind of what you were alluding to as well. There's a lot of new faces on the front end, and you're asking what's his name, Bednar? You're asking Bednar to basically just glue this team together.
Yep.
I mean, just looking at Daily Faceoff, 5 of their 12 are guys that they just brought in, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of new faces, man. So,
yeah, looking at Daily Faceoff, 3. I mean, Miles Wood, Colton, and Tatar don't even have on this. They don't have jersey, they don't have numbers yet.
Yeah, that's the same with Johansson and Druin, right? I mean, those are all new guys that they brought in. So.
You're hoping that these guys are going to work out, and you're going to be able to. You're basically trying to replace the guys that you lost, and fuck, man, if I'm an Avs fan, I'm optimistically pessimistic.
Yeah, I think I'm a little cautious just because of those points. But look at in the playoffs.
Not
a playoff team.
Not to be a homer on it, but I look at this roster and I go, this is why they lost to the Kraken.
Yeah, 100%.
This is why I look at this roster, even this healthy roster right now. If this was a 7-game series with the roster that I saw with the Kraken, man, I'd still I think I'd put my money on the Kraken, and I'm not even being a homer on that.
Yeah, I think
the Kraken's depth once again will beat this team.
Yeah, I mean,
Nathan McKinnon can only be on the ice for so much.
I think the depth definitely up front. The depth for the Kraken, I think, is going to win this game. I don't think they quite have the firepower that they do. So on paper, right? If the playoffs started tomorrow, and this is what we're looking at from Colorado and Kraken, I think you see a better matched series. I think the Kraken still probably take this, but that defense on this Colorado team is miles above.
Agreed.
What we're going to see from the Kraken, right?
Agreed, 100%. So it's a coin toss. I would say it's probably another 7-game series.
Sure.
Giving the edge to the Kraken in the offense, giving the Colorado the edge in defense, and then the goaltending's really a toss up.
That's a wash, yeah.
It's for different reasons. The Colorado goaltending, you can rely on it to be B-, B, level goaltending. You're not going to get elite goaltending. You're not going to get bad goaltending. You're going to just have acceptable goaltending.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Kraken, it's the roll of the dice, man. Either Grubauer shows up and he's playing like one of the top 5 goaltenders in the league, or he's dog shit.
That's so concerning to me.
And then you've got it. Agreed. Agreed, but thankful. I have a lot of faith in Joey Dackard.
Yeah, I think there's no way Grubauer had that success in the playoffs and is just going to go right. There's just no way, right? He can't go back to what he did the last 2 seasons.
You and I talked about this in a Kraken recap in the last episode. Like it's just statistically, there's no way that he can have a bad season as he's in the first year. He's statistically due for a rebound year. Yeah. It's like guys. Think of it as guys that have high points. Like McCann had 40 goals last year. Is he going to score 40 goals again this year? Probably not.
No, but Burakovsky will hopefully play a full season.
Probably not. If we're going to be optimistic, we're hoping from Burakovsky and McCann 30-goal seasons.
Sure.
That's doable.
Yeah.
That's doable. I could see that. So, and that's where I think kind of evens out. In fact, if anything, like if I had to choose between McCann getting a 40-goal season and Burakovsky being out versus both of them getting 30-goal seasons, I'll take the 30-goal seasons.
Yeah, I'll take 20 extra goals.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. So I would rather take that, and we'll see that drop. So, God, it would be another toss-up. It would definitely be close, and it would. I don't want to say it would come down to goaltending because it wouldn't. I think that it'd be a shift by shift battle. But the wild card on that would definitely be. And it's funny that we're prefacing this because it's very possible that they play again.
Yeah.
There's a very high probability that that they meet again in the playoffs.
Yep, 100%.
Definitely. All right, that's it. That is it for our Central Division preview and predictions, folks. Also should be the last episode for quite a while that is 2 hours long.
Good God, I'm tired of shit, man.
I know, I'm dying too. But
I do want to say one more thing before
hit me with it.
Off. Andrei Vasilevsky is out for 2 months.
Oh, that's right. We didn't even fucking talk about that.
Touch on that. I just saw it on my feed. So
yep.
Yeah, if you're still with us, that's a bit of a blow for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So
somebody's fantasy team is gonna be fucked.
Oh. Yeah.
So, yes, as we end the show, if you have made it this long, also some important stuff coming up. We will be at the Seattle Kraken home opener on October 17th between the Colorado Avalanche and the Seattle Kraken. If you are in the area, if you want to come say hi to us, have a beer with us, we are more than happy to do it. Just reach out to us, send us a message on Twitter or Facebook, and we are happy to meet up with you guys down there. We are big fans of jumping around in the Soho area before and after the game. So let us know, hit us up. And if you're wanting some merch, we could probably make that happen too. Just let us know and we can bring it with us down there and we can hook you up. So there's that. And then also, folks, the Dusty Bender Fantasy Hockey League is coming up here soon. We're going to be doing our drafts. Not only the Dusty Bender one, but also the Hockey Podcast Network has a draft coming up as well. So we'll be bringing you guys fantasy content when we return to a once-a-week format. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you. And we'll see you not next week, but the week after.